Namo Vishnu Graya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tanamane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskyatyade Siddhartha. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned Krishna Swadharma Upadukate Dharma Jnana Devi Saha Kalo Nashta Drishamesha Paranarko Duno Nitaha. One of the answers to the questions that the sages of Naimisharanya asked Sutta Goswami was, now that Krishna has left the planet, where has religion and knowledge taken? Where have they gone? And it is said, the answer that Sutta Goswami gave was Krishna Sudama Upagate. Now that Krishna has left his abode, has left and returned to his abode, Krishna Swadharma, his abode, Upagate, has returned. Dharma, religiousness, righteousness, jnana, and knowledge, pure consciousness, dharma, to be saha. He's taken with them both real religion and pure consciousness. In pure consciousness, one can perceive pure religion, which is ultimately Krishna consciousness. Or by following Krishna consciousness, one can perceive reality or real knowledge. But Krishna is left. Krishna Swadharma Upagavate, Dharma Jnana Devi Saha. So what's the person who's giving off, emanating pure consciousness, pure love, ultimately, which brings about pure consciousness, he's left. So where do we take shelter? Krishna Swadharma Upagavate, Dharma Jnana Devi Saha. Kalo Nashta Drishamesha. And we're living in Kali Yuga. Now, living in Kali Yuga generally means that we're all Shudras. We were born Shudra. That we don't have to be Shudra now, but at least we were born Shudra. Kalo Sudra Sambhava. And it is said, Jayate, by birth, Jayate, one is Bhavat Shudra. Jayate Janmana Shudra. That we've taken birth from people, generally speaking, who are in the Bali concept of life. And when they created us, then they did not do so out of pure love of God. They were not in higher consciousness, and therefore we appeared here in the consciousness in which our parents invited us, in the Bali concept of life. And therefore the whole world is moving under the Bali concept of life, trying to squeeze some happiness out of their bodies and out of the relationships that they have with other bodies. But, and therefore the actual purpose of life has been missed. Janmana Jayate Shudra Samskara Bhavat Dvija. But there's a possibility to do something to become twice born. Twice born means to get out of this material concept of life and to be born into another consciousness. And how is it? What is the principal means of doing that? There it says, where did Krishna take shelter? Now Krishna Swadharma Upagavate, Dharma Jnana Devi Saha, Kalo Nashta Drisham Esha. Now that we're in the darkness of Kali Yuga, Purana Ko Dunoditaha. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has arisen just like the sun. In other words, and those who take shelter of the Bhagavatam, they'll get light from it. The problem is, who reads the Bhagavatam? And even when we read the Bhagavatam, what do we actually get out of reading the Bhagavatam? As Prabhupada wrote in the original Srimad Bhagavatam, that Prabhupada said, it's very nice that Narada Muni has appeared on the pages of the Bhagavatam. So how many times when we read the Bhagavatam do we see Narada Muni or Krishna or any of the other personalities actually appearing on the pages? Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, knowing that we're living in the age of faithlessness, in other words, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago, and people read it and they still can't get it. In other words, there's only one book, a basic book of knowledge, which is actually scientific. That's the Bhagavad Gita. Everything else is more or less only useful if it directs us towards the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. And why is it a waste of time? Because this material world is just an endless phantasmagoria where we're imagining that something's going on except simply the exchange of Brahman's energies known as Bhumir Apanalo Vayu Kamano Buddha Evacha Ahankara Itima Me Bina Prakriti Ashita. That the material world is just a dazzling performance of just the basic energies, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And internally we're experiencing it as mind, intelligence, and false ego. So it's a wonderful virtual reality that we're living in, which has really no reality, because it's a virtual reality. And yet we take it very seriously because we're not actually aware of what actually reality is. So that means we're faithless in terms of Krishna consciousness. We have a lot of faith in other things, but in terms of Krishna consciousness, that has to be developed. But how can it be developed when we're not very faithful? Faith means experience. We're not talking about simply blind faith. We're based upon faith in terms of experience. Just like Krishna tells us in the Bhagavad Gita that we should have faith in basically three things. One is that we're not this body. And Krishna gives the example, Deno sminyata dehe, kaumaram yovanam jara, tata dahantara praptir, diryas tatra namuyate. Now, any reasonable person, of which there are very few left in this world, any reasonable person can see that their bodies are changing. Now, everyone knows that their body is changing and that they don't like the changes for the most part, unless you're 5 years old and you're looking forward to your 6th birthday, where you can become a big boy now. But after 20 years old, we don't like the changes usually. But we can see it's changing, and we can also see that we're exactly the same person. But why is it that this soul, ourselves, that we're seeing my body's changing, but I'm not changing, and why don't I accept it? Why don't I realize it? Why don't I even appreciate it, that I'm eternal? Why? Because we want to be something that we're not. We don't like who we are. First of all, we don't know who we are. But anyhow, we don't like to be insignificant. We want to be something significant. And even we'd rather be an illusion than realize our insignificant eternality. The only problem is we enter into the material world where we have to die. In other words, at every moment, our conception of ourselves is always dying one moment after another. One moment I think I have a strong, healthy body. The next moment I break my little toe and I'm in pain, suffering. So at every moment my conception of my false ego's conception of myself is constantly changing. And ultimately, after going through old age, disease, and death, we come back to another body and start all over again, trying to become something we can't be. We're so attached to being something other than insignificant. We want to be significant. That's all. We'd rather die than be insignificant. Not only die once, but over and over again. And we'd rather be an illusion. In other words, we'd rather be in an illusion that I'm significant temporarily and in some species of life, then I'll be significant. Maybe I'll become the queen ant. At least I'll be the queen of something. And although I won't maintain that for very long, still I'm going to take another birth, and in that birth I'm going to try to become significant and enjoy my significance. As I said before, Prabhupada was coming back from his doctor's appointment, and he saw one movie, and the movie title, he didn't see the movie, but he saw the title of the movie, Is There Sex After Death? And Prabhupada came back and gave a lecture and told the devotees that you don't have to worry. You should go out and tell everyone when you go distributing books today. I saw this movie, and the title was, Is There Sex After Death? So you can go out and tell everyone that they don't have to worry about dying anymore, because there's sex after death in 8,400,000 species of life. And if they know that there's sex after death, then they won't be afraid of dying. Because sex means I have the illusion that I'm actually the controller, I'm actually the enjoyer, and that's all we want to be, is the controller and enjoyer. In 8,400,000 species of life, we've gone through it all, and here we are now, and we're still trying to do the same thing. Punak punas charvacha charvanana. Because we're trying to enjoy that. And the last thing that we want to do is to find out that we're not the controller and the enjoyer. Now, even if we have the opportunity to become eternal, to realize we're eternal and free from all anxiety, and have what we hear is a blissful, happy, unlimitedly pleasureful existence, we rather suffer here and be the supreme, in my imagination. That I'm lording it over someone, I'm controlling them, I'm enjoying them, etc. Not only sex life, we're eating living entities, we're dreaming, we're imagining when we're sleeping, and we're defending. We're imagining that I have the power I'm the Lord of all I survey, and by my potency I'll defend my kingdom that I've created. So this is material existence, and people don't want to get out of material existence. They want to get more into it. Therefore it's a thankless task to try to get someone out of it. They won't thank us. It's like the worm and stool. Now the worm and stool, he's thinking he's enjoying. His whole family's there. It's nice and warm for some time. Food is free. He has a place to live. And if you try to pull the worm out of the stool, he'll protest. What are you doing? This is my life. What are you trying to deprive me of my life, of my enjoyment, of my home and my family? He'll protest. It won't volunteer. Oh, you're so kind, you're trying to get me out of stool. No, he'll scream and shout, you rascal, leave me alone. I'm enjoying here. So that's material existence. And therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes not as the Supreme Lord who spoke Bhagavad Gita and gave us the truth. The last thing people want to hear is the truth. They'd rather be lied and cheated that you're actually something great and significant. And your body is wonderful. No, don't let anyone criticize it. It's beautiful. It's full of opulence. It's the Supreme, and it's worthy of being worshipped by you. Although it may die, don't worry, you'll get another one. And you can worship that one too. And imagine that you're the Supreme. That desire will never be taken away from you. So, Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, the absolute truth, our bodies are changing, but we're not changing. And yet, people don't want to hear it. They're working hard to stay eternal, to be eternal in this body, to not to die. Everyone's afraid of death. They're working hard, but if they hear they're eternal, they don't care about it. Of course, Hiranyakashipu knew he was eternal, and he preached to his relatives that don't worry about Hiranyaksha, he's eternal, that he's simply trying to lord it over the creation in a different body. He's happy trying to lord it over in some other body. But Krishna doesn't stop there. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, he says, Samam Bhashani Sarvatra, Samavastidam Ishwaram, Nihinastyatmanatman. Actually, that's right. Samam Bhashani Samam Sarveshu Bhuteshu Tishtantam Parameshwaram, Vinashavanashantam Yak Pashiti Sapashiti. One who can see the super soul and the soul in all bodies, and knows that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, he can actually see. In other words, Krishna introduces Paramatma. We may want to be an illusion, and Paramatma is very kind to us. If we don't want to hear something, then we just don't go there, that's all. And even if we go there and we don't want to hear something, we just close our eyes, or we all keep our eyes open, and we don't hear anything by the mercy of Paramatma. Anything that interferes with my false ego especially, it just goes in one ear and out the other. We don't listen to it at all because we don't want to hear it. And Paramatma says, no worries, don't listen. And even if you listen, you won't hear a thing. It's all right. You want to stay here in the material world? I'll give you all opportunity to do so and enjoy here as much as you can. But he's there. In other words, as we can understand we're eternal, we're not this body, we can also understand Paramatma. There's someone giving us remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And I have a choice. Either I can become his instrument, or I can completely deny him. And the more I deny him, the more I'll be given an opportunity in the lower species of life to not even get near a devotee who's going to wake me up or try and wake me up, bother me with his philosophy that there's a God other than me. Disturb my mind. But Paramatma is there. He can give us all kinds of understanding and realizations, or he can keep us in complete ignorance. That's our choice. It's not that Krishna, he likes someone, he doesn't like someone, and he bestows his mercy. Oh, I like you. I like your face. Here's my blessings. Let you be illuminated. No, it's simply our choice. It's simply our free will. Krishna speaks Bhagavad Gita, telling us Paramatma is there. We can ask Paramatma, what do you want me to do? Or we can say, Paramatma, leave me alone. I got so many things to do. Don't interfere with my plans. I don't have time for you. But Paramatma is there, and not only in my heart, Samam Pashani Sarvatra, Samavashitim Ishwaram, Nihenastyatmanatmanam Tatoyiti Paramgitim. That one who can see the super soul accompanying all bodies and accompanying the living entities in all bodies, and who knows that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, he actually sees. One who can see the super soul accompanying all souls in all bodies and is equal everywhere, doesn't degrade himself by the mind, and thus he approaches the supreme destination. So some people believe that there is a God, but they don't believe God is equal to everyone. They don't believe that it's actually everyone's choice to take shelter of Krishna or not, or to different degrees. Therefore they think they're special, that God is giving them some special benediction, because they're special. not realizing that everyone is special. Why should we be the only ones who are special? Why can't we allow everyone else to be special too? And why can't we allow that Krishna can make everyone special? Why do we have to be so, as it says, kripana, that only I should become special? Why should I try to not make everyone else special too? So, unless we understand Paramatma and our relationship with Paramatma and what Paramatma is there for, and what we can actually, the supreme benediction, to realize Bhagavan, Krishna. Now, in our present existence, how much beauty, how much knowledge, how much strength, how much fame do we actually have? How much am I completely clear what to do at every moment to become blissful? I know what to do according to my senses and mind. How much do I actually know how to have even a loving relationship with someone else? Is it possible to have a loving relationship with anyone in the material world when I think I'm this body? When my principal interest is what my senses demand. And then I look at everyone else. What can they do to serve my senses? Is that loving relationship? I chew on you and you chew on me. As long as you taste good, and I spit you out when all the nectar is gone. Is that love? Or is it possible to have a loving relationship with the Supreme who is unlimitedly lovable? And can Paramatma guide me towards him? And what does that mean? So, people don't, it's a very simple philosophy. After all, we didn't create even one atom here. Where did it all come from? Did it really pop in out of nothing? How absurd. If everything popped out of nothing, what is nothing doing now? Because nothing is actually good for nothing. And people who believe in nothing, they're good for nothing too. Of course, some intelligent person created the world. Otherwise, how can we marvel at the amazing things that are going on here with so much intelligence, moving planets in their orbits, creating material bodies from two different types of living entities, male and female. So many wonderful things are going on here. So a wonderful person must have created it. Now, do we want to meet that wonderful person? Or what do we know about him? What have we been conditioned to think? That person's an old man trying to lord it over us, taking pleasure in watching us suffering because we don't obey him. Someone to fear. And we're describing the Supreme as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan who's herding cows. Never goes to McDonald's. Doesn't eat meat. He has unlimited opulence, but he's not attached to any of it. He's simply trying to share it with all his friends. So we have a completely different conception of what actually the Supreme is. But how much can we really accept it as long as we're thinking, give me this life one more chance, and this time I'll actually enjoy and control everything that I want. This time the scientists will protect me from death, and I'll go on forever enjoying this world. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is clear as the sun. Jnanena tu tad agyanam yesham nashitam atmanha tesham adityavad jnanam prakashiti tatparam. It's clear, the simple eternal truth, the real science is that we're all eternal. We're being guided by an intelligent person named Paramatma. Everyone's being guided to him, either to enjoy the material world if we want, he'll give us the intelligence how to do it, or to get out of the material world and go back to the spiritual world, where there's the Supreme, who's the source of everything, who has unlimited beauty in everything, and unlimited love for everyone, and we can enjoy that love in the attitude of service to him, rather than the attitude of trying to compete against him, trying to deny him, trying to help everyone forget about him. Or we can try to help people remember him, understand him. But people don't understand it. We can hand out millions of Bhagavad Gitas. We can try to read Bhagavad Gita ourselves, but we can't understand. Because basically speaking, we're a little attached to this idea, maybe I can enjoy here. Maybe I can be happy here. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda come, along with the Panchatattva, to trick people to go back to Godhead, to bring Krishna consciousness into the realm of reality for this fallen souls of this Kali Yuga, who don't want to go back to Godhead, who have been taught to have so much faith in material existence that even when the truth is revealed to them, they don't want to listen. They don't want to hear it. They want to stay in the material world and enjoy here forever, try to enjoy. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and chants the Hare Krišna. And not only he chants Hare Krišna, but he brings the whole spiritual world wherever he goes. Along with the chanting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in the mood of a devotee, bringing the spiritual world with him by actually chanting with devotion in separation from Krishna and his associates in Vrindavan. Now the question is whether we want to serve the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and therefore come closer to him. If we serve the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's his Krishna, Radha and Krishna themselves, therefore, as we come closer to them, he reveals himself to us, then the spiritual world becomes clear to us. The experience of transcendence and knowledge and ultimately love in the spiritual world becomes manifested to our experience. And therefore we develop faith as such a thing as actual love, actual transcendence beyond material existence. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us to the highest level. Anarpitam charim charat karuna yavatira kalo. He's coming in Kali Yuga not just to give us a relation with Krishna as servants or as friends or as parents, but also even up to the point of view of Madhurya Rasa. So Krishna is, as we come in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through serving his mission, and his mission is not something complicated. Yari Deka Tari Kaha Krishna Upadesh Amara Aga Gurhana Tari Desh. Whoever we meet, that we should try to help them become Krishna conscious. See that as their actual benefit of life. If we want to help people in a real way, then we should become convinced this is how I can actually do it. Somehow or another, serve the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to help others understand, experience their relation with Krishna. That we're not the friend, it's Krishna is the friend. Krishna is the enjoyer. Krishna is the controller, not ourselves, but as an instrument we try to explain to people what they could do to realize that. And if they do that, then they'll get the maximum benefit of life. All we can do is try to become an instrument, but that's what Krishna appreciates. To be an instrument, to try to help others become Krishna conscious, revive their relation with Krishna. Not to claim that we're the friend, that we're the controller, that we're the enjoyer, but to point out that the real controller, the real friend of everyone, the real enjoyer of everything is Krishna. And the more we try to help serve him, then the more we are able to control, the more we are able to enjoy, the more we become a friend of everyone, the more we become fixed in our service under Krishna's direction. In Krishna's direction, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's direction, he only left 8 verses supposedly, but he came with Lord Nityananda. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to Rupa Goswami, he spoke to Sanatana Goswami, the knowledge that we get in these scriptures, but also the original spiritual master is Lord Nityananda, who went door to door telling people Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna, Shika. Chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and become a servant of Krishna. Bhaja Krishna, worship Krishna. Bolo Krishna, chant his name. Koro Krishna, Shika, and serve him. So that to become a spiritual master, Prabhupada said, is not difficult. Simply we have to tell people that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should chant his name, we should worship him, and we should serve him, and then we become the best friend, then we're actually able to control people's minds and intelligence, and that way we can actually enjoy the same way that Krishna does when we control others through being under the spiritual energy and seeing that they're reviving their relation with Krishna. We're not trying to control people in order to enjoy them. We're trying to control them to convince everyone that Krishna is the friend, that he's the real enjoyer, and that he's the real controller. And if we become controlled by Krishna, if we become enjoyed by Krishna, if we become the friend of Krishna, then we can actually, being as Krishna's instrument, we can control others, we can enjoy others, and we can become everyone's friend by bringing them in contact with Krishna, and enjoy their happiness by becoming a devotee of Krishna. And control their minds by having them becoming enchanted with the wonderful glories of Krishna. And that way we can actually become everyone's real friend. Otherwise, we're wasting our time and we're wasting their time, and this is not a good time in Kali Yuga to do that. Otherwise, we may lose a lot of time, like millions and billions of lifetimes. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, when we heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tried to cheat people to give him Krishna prema and Krishna consciousness, is that related to argument that people usually don't have idea what prema is? So if he just told them, listen Mahamantra, take prasadam and be happy, that's kind of cheating people.
Well, I don't know. I had never heard anyone say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is cheating people. I know he's Chana avatar. He's the hidden incarnation. So in that sense, if you want to call that cheating, it's not really cheating though. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of compassion, knowing that people are not interested in Krishna consciousness in this age, because of their intense interest in sense gratification, in making money, they have two interests. Dharma, they have no interest in Dharma or in moksha, liberation. They only have interest in economic development for sense gratification. Therefore, he's coming with the Panchatattva and their representatives, which we're all supposed to be part of the Panchatattva, following Srivas Thakur at least, or maybe Gadadhar Pandit, serving the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and serving Lord Nityananda and Advaita Acharya. By doing that, we give them a taste for Krishna consciousness. How nice by distributing prasadam, enthusiastically distributing this knowledge in the form of books and manifesting the knowledge. The only way we can distribute books is to manifest the knowledge in the books, the enthusiasm, the awareness, the consciousness of Krishna that allows us to be his instrument. That way people will become attracted and take the book. That's mystic, Krishna's mystic potency. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming and he's using us as instruments to manifest the opportunity for others to take up Krishna consciousness to some degree or another, depending upon our potency, how much we're surrendered to Krishna. Then Krishna will use us as an instrument. And even we're not so surrendered, if we just try to be surrendered. Just try and put ourselves in a situation where we're trying to do our service nicely, whatever it might be. Then Krishna will didami buddhi yogam tam. He gives us intelligence that we actually become aware. Yes, Krishna is God, and I am his eternal servant, and he's so beautiful, he's so nice, and he's so lovable. I should try to love him. I should try to serve him. And then it's not bad being insignificant. It's bad trying to become something we're not. Let Krishna be God. Let me be his servant eternally. Why should I? But because we don't want that. Krishna is so kind. He's so loving. He comes and he takes the position of his servant and shows us how nice it is to be his servant. That he wants to be his servant too. He's eternally trying to be our servant. He is eternally our servant, although we don't want him to be our, we don't want to be, we want to be the master. But even the master takes pleasure in being the servant of his servant. But we have to become a servant of Krishna. Then we'll realize how much he's trying to become our servant, real servant. So he has to trick us. Come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, take prasadam, chant these names. Come and hear this knowledge. And if you don't like it, you can stay here in the material world forever if you want. If not, then that's up to you. But he gives the Hare Krishna mantra, he gives prasadam, he gives the process of devotional service. But in the beginning, he doesn't say you have to surrender. You don't have to do anything. Just take prasadam and chant Hare Krishna. In that sense, he may be tricking everyone. Because if you chant Hare Krishna, then a lot of your material desires will fall away. You'll realize that they were tasteless. He said, don't surrender, just chant Hare Krishna. But if you chant Hare Krishna, you'll be forced to surrender. You'll want to surrender. Because you'll see how nice it is to surrender to the holy name. Is that right? Anything else? All he says, Masuchaha, Krishna says at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, just become free from anxiety, you're eternal. I'll protect you eternally. Don't worry about anything. But we say, no way, I'm not going to accept you and be free from anxiety. I'd rather be suffering here in the material world forever, complete anxiety, rather than to admit that I'm something other than your eternal servant. I'll do anything to forget that. Anything else? Thank you very much. Krandaraj Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premananda.